Alright, welcome guys. This is my first ever YouTube video. Today we're going to be talking about who should be the NBA 2022 MVP, most valuable player. So every year there's always that, same discussion. What is the MVP? There's a camp that think it's all about winning and it should be the best player on the best team. Right? Then there's that camp that says, hey, it's all about the stats. Whoever has the best stats should win MVP. And then there is a lot of people, probably the majority, who kind of get it right in terms of precedent. And generally, it's a combination of both. Good amount of winning and, good amount of stats. So right now, I think it's generally considered that there are three main front runners for MVP, and they're pretty close. Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Nikola Jokic. So, getting into Joel Embiid, obviously we know he's the starting center for the Philadelphia 76ers. And his stats for this season are 30.6 points per game, leading the league slightly. 11.7 rebounds per game, 4.2 assists, 1.1 steals, and 1.5 blocks on about 50% from the field and 37% from three. Amazing statistics. And he did all this while playing about 33.8 minutes per game. When you look at his advanced statistics, he has a PER of 31.2 and a value over replacement player of 6.5 with 12 win shares. Great season. I mean, most seasons he would probably run away with MVP. And he's played 68 games too. I mean, and generally the biggest weakness for Embiid is lack of games, and this season he's played the most amount of games ever in his career. Extremely strong case. Next, we're going to Giannis Antetokounmpo. He has 29.9 points per game, so I mean, 0.7 away from Embiid. He has 11.6 rebounds per game, 0.1 off from Embiid. But where he beats Embiid is that 5.8 assists per game, so one whole assist more, while shooting 55% from the field, but about 29% from three. And looking into his advanced statistics, he has a 7.4 value of a replacement player, so a little higher than Embiid's, and a 32.1 PER. And both of these guys have 51 wins in the Eastern Conference, which is actually the stronger conference this year. And however, the Bucks are the third seed, with the 76ers being the fourth seed, and that was actually because of a head-to-head matchup where the Bucks were able to beat the Sixers. And the Bucks were 2 games away from being the first seed and 1 winning away from being the second seed, staying with the 76ers. So I mean, it was a very, very close race up there. So Embiid and Giannis are kind of just neck and neck right there. Now we go into Nikola Jokic. He's a more interesting case. So Jokic has 27.1 points per game with a staggering 13.8 rebounds per game and 7.9 assists per game as a center. 7.9 assists. Wow, that's crazy. And advanced statistics, he leads the league in PER with 32.8. He leads the league in win shares and win shares per 48. And he leads the league in value over replacement player at 9.8. and he's played more games than Giannis and Embiid. I mean, Jokic has an extremely strong case for MVP. The Nuggets were the 6th seed in the West with 48 wins this year. So, so now that we've kind of gone over kind of their statistics and how their team was winning wise, let's kind of go into, their overall team makeup and what, they're going to have to overcome to win MVP. So right now, let's keep talking about Jokic. They were the 6th seed, which, the last time a 6th seed won was Westbrook, and before then, I can't even remember off the top of my head. But generally precedent says you want to be a top 3 or 4 seed. So it's going to be hard for Jokic to win this MVP while being a 6th seed. However, here's the thing. At 48 wins, he's only 3 games away from Giannis's Bucks and Embiid Sixers, albeit in a different conference. But Jokic had to do this without his co-star, without Jamal Murray, and I believe Michael Porter Jr. missed time as well. So he basically had to carry this team. And, a lot of the same can be said for Joel Embiid, as he had to play the majority of the year without Ben Simmons and had to deal with the drama of not having Ben Simmons. However, later on, they did trade for James Harden. And although Harden has not exactly been the same exact, MVP James Harden that we're used to seeing, James Harden has still been, an all-star plus level player, albeit for a small chunk of the season for them. And then we'll go into the 2-time MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo. And so far, he has had the most stable situation out of these two. There hasn't really been much to say about drama from the Bucks. I mean, they've been pretty steady in terms of personnel, in terms of players who played, in terms of drama. Really, none of that. The thing that, I guess goes in Giannis's favor is Giannis's defensive prowess. Embiid is a great defender as well. And I believe in defensive win shares, Embiid might be slightly ahead of Giannis. Let me check that real quick. 4.1 for Embiid and 3.7 for Giannis. However, the eye test tells me that Giannis is a better defender. I mean, if nothing else, Giannis is a more versatile defender. He's one of the few guys who you can probably genuinely put on all 5 defenders. I mean, on all 5 positions. So, and Nikola Jokic, he's a very underrated defender, but I mean, Giannis and Embiid are defensive player of the year caliber defenders, and Jokic is nowhere near that. And I didn't even talk about what these guys do on the defensive end of the court. When it comes to just pure stats, I think the answer is pretty obvious, Jokic. But when we factor in winning, and when we also factor in what each player has had to deal with, my choice for the 2022 MVP, although it's close, is Joel Embiid. I think it's time that we give the big fella his first MVP award. And Giannis, to me, is second, with Jokic being third. And honestly, I think these three could come in any order. They've just been so amazing this season that you could really put them in any order. But for me, I think it's time that we give Embiid his due and give him that MVP. All right, thanks guys. If you disagree, let me know in the comments.